Puppets! Hello, you lovelies! Let's talk about Creature Commandos Episode 6, the penultimate episode of hopefully Season 1 of many more seasons, because I am digging this show, and this episode was the one I have been hoping for since Episode 2, when I realized this was going to feel like a graphic novel, which each episode feeling like an issue within that graphic novel, and I wanted to see some Doctor Phosphorus goodness, and we got that this week. There's going to be a full spoiler review, so I hope you have seen the episode. Get out of here if you haven't. We're going full spoilers in here. Now, if you're new to this page, I cover comic books like the books themselves. I do comic book news and comic book reviews every single week with that week's books, as well as movie news and movie reviews and sometimes TV news and reviews. So if you're into any of that pop culture goodness, especially in the world of comic books, please do hit that subscription bell. I am in deep love with the worlds of DC, Marvel, Image, Dark Horse, Dynamite, Boom, all the good stuff. So really want to talk about that with you. And speaking of talking about that with you, please leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of Creature Commandos, any of it, and especially in this episode, episode 6. Let me know below and hit a like while you're pressing buttons. No more intro. They're very long. Let's talk Creature Commandos episode 6. Dr. Phosphorus is a Batman villain that is so visually awesome that a lot of times he's not written well because it's easy to just make flaming cool looking guy a background character. And in this episode, it shows the strength of that very Shakespearean loss of what Phosphorus went through. It's a very impactful story. The visual language in this episode with the direct switch out of his joy and his glee and his replacing everything in his family with the worst things in life, replacing love for violence, trying to bandage the wound, the open glowing wound in his case of what he's been through, was so beautiful and bittersweet. Like literally dressing like a glowing skeleton pimp, which is a nod to a very insane costume. Like it's such a comic book thing, and it's insane how endeared we are to these characters. I love that James Gunn and the whole team behind this has not veered away from how villainous these characters are. That man saw the worst thing a man can see, his family bloodied out and was framed for their murder, like his child killed in front of him, and then his revenge was killing everyone brutally. And that montage was insane. Like the hyperviolence was just on that amazing line between comedic and disgusting. It walked that line amazingly, and then even killed the mob boss's family. And it was smart to not show that because I think that would have been the line in the sand with us being okay with liking this character at all. But he killed the mob boss's family. Didn't have to. Could have just killed him, but he's a villain. Killed them all. And we got that incredible montage of such creative ways to use that power. I think Phosphorus's power is so fascinating, especially when it's used like it was so creatively here. I think the way Alan Tudyk plays him, that crispness, that edge to his voice, that hardness, and it's such a painful story, and the love he had for his wife and what his wife went through. We see his wife for like 2-3 minutes, and we're so immediately compassionate for what she survived and why he'd be sensitive with the nuclear codes and why they might have met over losing both of their parents. They both lose their parents to cancer. That might have bonded them, and then seeing the solution even at the cost, and then the cost was much too much. And like, it is a tale as old as time, as they talk about in the episode. It's so beautiful. So our flashback episode, Dr. Phosphorus, a character I love dearly, little flash of Batman. And I think that Batman moment, it really shows what the DCU can do so well and so fun, in that we've got, in Batman comics, it's often just Batman. In Detective Comics, it's often just Batman. Batman's usually like doing his own thing. Obviously, Robin and Nightwing and the Batman family notwithstanding. But Batman often feels like his own little corner. And then, of course, there's Justice League and World's Finest and all sorts of team-ups and times that Batman does interact with other heroes. But I love that we're getting both right now, because we're getting the Matt Reeves epic crime saga universe where I never want to see Superman, because I don't want to, it doesn't fit with the tone. Like, that's what makes Batman interesting, is that he can be these two separate things. And I love that now we get the comic booky one where we can have characters like Dr. Phosphorus and Batman just pops up for a second. That's going to be so cool in the DCU to have both of those things. And I really love the moment of having him here. Obviously loved that moment 2 episodes ago where we see a lot of the DCU canon. Just really great storytelling, building out a universe, really feels impactful. We had Clayface obviously last week, which, builds out the Batman rogues in the DCU in a unique way, but it all still feels like Creature Commandos. At no point does having these extra characters feel like we're losing the integrity of the Creature Commando show. That is so hard to do, and they're doing it so very well. It also shows that when we have Superman, in July, it's going to be possible to have Guy Gardner pop up, and all these members of the League pop up, and Hawkgirl pop up, and Mr. Terrific being seemingly like a supporting or co-lead. But all those characters don't make it any less of a Superman movie because it's already an established world. So as long as you play that equalizer right, like they're doing here, which I have full faith that they're going to do, it's going to feel like a Superman movie, but already in an established DCU like this show does. So I'm loving that. So our main plot was Doctor Phosphorus flashback, which I really enjoyed, but I love the B and C plot here. And then the A plot of the overall show also moved forward. The pacing here has been amazing because at no point has the A plot felt like it stalled out. We still have all the Princess Alana stuff. We still have all the Waller stuff. An Argus name drop this episode felt real cool to hear. All of that is still moving forward incrementally. And then the episodes stay spicy by having different incredible visual transitions, by having different flashbacks to characters. And then each episode's also had a B plot of another one of the Creature Commandos, endearing us to them more. In this case, we've continued our Frankenstein and Frank Grillo plot with Frank Grillo's character of Rick Flag. Sorry, the Frank and Frank Grillo really connected to me. But the Rick Flag story, he's unconscious this episode. Frankenstein was good enough to drop him off, but then is immediately killing all those people on the airplane and then pays the pilot. His morality is fascinating, and he's a bad guy, but the charm and the funniness and that monologue he had is hilarious in this episode, keeping us like endeared to this absolute monster. It works so well. I love Frankenstein's writing. I love David Harbour's delivery. He is an MVP of comedy in this show. And then we've got the B plot of Weasel. Weasel, man, him finding his people, him finding his tribe, him finding his wolf pack, very literally. They called him a werewolf in his flashback episode, and he's a person, he's a creature without a place. Doesn't fit in with people, doesn't fit in with the wolves, plays fetch with them, but he finds his people. But then the memory of that little girl and wanting to save her and seeing her through Princess Alana is so sad and captivating. And then we get, after that plot point starts up, we get the like B plus C plot of, we get the bride and Nina with that really brutal fight that just brings the two of them together even more. They're hiding out. I love that everyone's on the run this episode, but it really is that found family episode, the Guardians of the Galaxy, the James Gunn thing that he does so well, where at the end they're all brought back together. So I love that they had to spread apart. We have a mission. We spread them apart. The mission's over. They leave. They go their separate ways. They come back together. Then they're spread apart, and they're finally formed. Now they're all actually this family, this group, this found family that's together. And I love the walk up of Phosphorus after spending the episode with him, Weasel appearing, and then the two of them coming together, and that slow walk up to the castle just feels like really great pacing, really great writing. And it's insane how much we care about each of these characters. If you told me, 15 years ago, I'd care about a tree, a raccoon, Star-Lord of all characters. Like, it's just, those were never impactful to me characters in the Marvel Universe. I would never have expected to care this much about the Bride, a very different take on Frankenstein, Weasel of all characters. I've always had a soft spot for Doctor Phosphorus just because he looks cool and there's a character similar in Batman Beyond, but that is the closest to a familiar character in more than a passing way in this version of Creature Commandos. And the Creature Commandos comic, like the J.M. DeMatteis, or I think it's DeMatteis, the guy who wrote Kraven's Last Hunt, amongst the amazing work he did in Creature Commandos, that tone is very different. So I really like that. It feels approachable, but still weird, but the writing's so good we care about everyone here. And that is, I think, what James Gunn does best. I think that's why him overseeing the whole DCU is going to be so special and so different. And the speed at which, because of how well the Fox universe went, and then the Sony universe dabbled, and then the MCU ran like it was a crawl into a walk into a run, but now we're running. Like, superhero culture is running. We're sprinting through stuff. We don't have to have, Superman's origin. We don't have to necessarily see the pearls in Batman. We can just go into a universe that's already established. We can make an insane show that stars Doctor Phosphorus and that stars these characters and makes us love them, all while mentioning Argus and building out that world, all while having characters from Peacemaker live action, all while having these characters that we're very affected by, building everything out. So as good as this episode was, as good as it was a good issue for Dr. Phosphorus, a character I was very excited about getting, it also grows everything exponentially. And that team up at the very end, so impactful. I would love to know what you thought of the whole experience. Love to know what you thought of Dr. Phosphorus and the found family element. Let me know in the comments below. I really, really am digging this show, and I hope you are too. Leave a like on this video. Either way, even if you didn't like it, I hope you liked this video, especially if you're here at the end. And if you're not a subscriber, you've watched 99% of a video. So I think I'd like you to be. I'd appreciate it if you were. Join this page, hit that subscription bell, leave a comment, leave a like, hit all the buttons. I will see you very soon. Lots of stuff this week, lots of stuff in this page. What a time to be a nerd. Very happy about it. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.